Hi everyone. Recently I have been fascinated with making Senko Hanabi, rare Japanese indoor firework. Like always, I thought it would be simple. How wrong I was.
Now, this is a type of firework that is very simple to make in theory, but in practice turned out to be extremely difficult.
Every word is true. I mean, making Senko Hanabi is actually very easy. So much so I would recommend it as an interesting scientific experiment for kids. You can get pretty good effect very quickly. But to achieve the kind of effect you see from other YouTubers like Nighthawking Lights or Sultry, you have to put in a lot of effort. My Senko Hanabi journey. I started making Senko Hanabi 3 months ago. The first results weren't great. I was getting desired effect, but it was far from what I had seen from other YouTubers. I never saw a first stage where the droplet emits long single sparks. My Senko Hanabi would only start working from the second stage. I blamed the pyrotechnic composition. I used the Nighthawking Light optimized composition and tried to adjust it to my own conditions, adding or removing components. Nothing really worked. In most cases, my composition showed a deterioration of the effect compared to the basic composition. A couple of times I managed to slightly improve one stage at the expense of worsening another. I also tried compositions from other websites, but they all performed much worse. I also tried changing my charcoal source, trying to grind it in a ball mill instead of a mortar. It didn't have any effect, and grinding in a ball mill only accelerated the burning of the composition, without significant effect on the sparks. Then it finally dawned on me what the problem was. It turned out to be the paper. The effect of Senko Hanabi very much depends on the type of paper used, mainly its density. I received Gampi paper with density of 10 GSM from a Canadian online store, which Sultry used for Senko Hanabi. It's expensive, $10 for one sheet plus shipping, but only when I received it, I started getting results similar to those he got in his videos. Later though, I got pretty good results from regular 17 GSM tissue paper, which is produced in China and can be bought everywhere. It costs $10 or $15 for 100 sheets, which is almost nothing compared to Gampi. So how to make Senko Hanabi? Basically, how I make Senko Hanabi is all in Nighthawking's Lights playlist, and you'll have to watch it anyway if you want to make authentic Senko Hanabi. The only problem is that it's scattered across different videos, so I decided to summarize the information a bit and add some of my own experience. To make Senko Hanabi, you will need 4 components: accurate scales with an accuracy of 1/100th of the gram, or preferably 1/1000th of a gram, and a small mortar to grind everything. The first component is potassium nitrate, ordinary fertilizer. You can recrystallize it for cleaning, but in my experience it hardly affects anything. The second component is sulfur, just ordinary sulfur. You also need charcoal, but not just any charcoal, specifically pine charcoal. It's best to make it yourself. Take pine branches, put them in a tin can, cover the lid with holes, and put it in the fire. When the combustible gases stop to emit, take it out and cool it down. That's it, the charcoal is ready. You need a suit. This is not a mandatory component. I've made Senko Hanabi without a suit, but it greatly improves the effect. You need to prepare the suit by yourself. I make it from the vegetable oil. I take a disposable aluminum tray and a piece of cotton cloth to make a torch. Then I cover it with another larger tray. When everything burns out, you get about 1 gram of soot. It's not much, but you don't need a lot of it. Pyrotechnic composition. After all my experiments, I came to the conclusion that Nighthawking Light optimized composition is the best. Here is it. It works great if you have Gampi paper. It works worse with regular tissue paper, but still gives a beautiful effect. Here is another composition from Sultry. It works well only with the Gampi paper. It works much worse with tissue paper. How to roll Senko Hanabi. Take a sheet of paper 35 mm wide and 25-30 cm long. Fold it. Place from 90 to 100 mg of the composition inside in a line. Wet 2 fingers and start rolling. After we have completely wrapped the composition, we need to form an egg. The droplet will hold on to it. If it is too thin, the droplet will fall off. I usually wind 5-10 turns of the neck. This amount is selected experimentally. Then I just continue to wind to form the leg. That's it, 1 minute and the Senko Hanabi is ready. If your paper is not gumpy but ordinary tissue, you can improve the results if you take very thin strip of paper, 25 mm or even 20 mm wide, and pour the mixture in a long line. In this way, I got Senko that are close in effect to Senko on gumpy paper. Ignition and troubleshooting. Senko Hanabi should be ignited in an inclined position in a windless place, so there is less chance that the droplet will fall off, but this will still happen sometimes, so it's better to ignite it over water or over a surface that you don't mind. You need to ignite the very tip. Problems. Droplets falls off. Solution. Wind more paper on the neck. Droplet freezes in the middle of the process. Again, wind more paper on the neck. The droplet heats up by absorbing the neck. Droplet falls off while the mixture is still burning. This constantly happened with one of my batches of Nighthawkins light composition. I'm not sure what the reason is. Maybe it's because I slightly changed the way I made soot. The problem was solved by adding 1 or 2% of charcoal or soot. Carbonate Senko Hanabi. I also made a carbonate version of Senko Hanabi. It's a very interesting thing, interesting primarily because there is no oxidizer at all in the pyrotechnic composition. This is probably the only firework that can be made without an oxidizer. Instead of potassium nitrate, potassium bicarbonate is used here. Here is the composition optimized by Sultry. It is done in exactly the same way. You can take a little more composition up to 110 mg per Senko. The only thing is that I have never been able to make it with gumpy paper, 10 GSM. The droplet constantly fell off. It worked perfectly with 17 GSM tissue paper, much brighter than traditional Senko Hanabi. They are very active and emit many beautiful long sparks. They have only one significant drawback. Since the pyrotechnic mixture itself does not burn, they need to be heated with a turbo lighter, and heated for quite a long time. You also need to learn how to heat them. If you heat them too much or for too long, the Senko will overburn. If you do not heat them enough, the droplet will spark and freeze, or will not start sparking at all. That's how they are, the Carbonate Senko. That's all I wanted to tell you about my experience with Senko Hanabi. Subscribe to the channel, like it, also you can buy me a coffee.